dear friends, welcome to Shiksha Mantra once again. Today we have a great Maha Mantra ready for discussion. And what's that Maha Mantra? Yes, it's about noun. As we have already discussed that before learning English grammar, you must learn the parts of speech well, and among the parts of speech, noun is the beginner of the show. So let's learn noun, but we would learn noun in a different way. We would learn noun in a nutshell, all the details about nouns in a single video. So here we are going to discuss about the details of noun. So let's start. So here we are in discussion of nouns. But what is a noun? And it's very easy, because whenever you have been asked such a question, you would say a noun is a naming word, because right from your childhood you have learned this, that nouns are naming words. So a noun names. Names what? A noun names anything and everything. So that's the point. Noun names anything and everything. So what are the things? What do we mean by anything and everything? So let's see. So here we are discussing about the things that a noun names. A noun can name a person or a thing. So a person, a thing, that's very common. For several times you have learned this, but there's also an action. A noun can name an action. There's also a quality and a state. So a noun can name what? Here's the list. You may have a note of this as well. A noun can name a person, a thing, an action, a quality, or a state. So in a nutshell, that's the definition of a noun. So when we have learned the definition of a noun, so it's better for us to learn the types of nouns. So let's learn the types of nouns. Here we are with our first types of nouns, that's the common nouns. So a common noun is nothing but a name that is attached to person, that is people, animals, places or things. So it's a name given to a group of people, thing, animals of the same kind. So they represent a group, a common name for many such individuals. Like a doctor. If I say a doctor, that's a common noun, because it actually presents a group of people who are similar in profession. And yes, we have another example that's in a sentence, that is, don't put a bird in a cage. Now if you consider this sentence, here bird, that also represent a particular types of animals. So with the word bird, it stands as a common name for many such creatures. And there's also a cage, and this cage, if you consider this is also a common name for a thing. So there could be different types of cages, but if you say cage, it presents a thing, and there's a group. Many of them are of similar uses and similar formations. So that is our concept of common nouns. Now we would learn the second type. So here we are with the second types, and that's a proper nouns. Proper nouns, that means it has a close relation with the common nouns. This is a particular name attributed to a common noun. That's a very simple idea of proper noun, and that's also the very simple relationship between proper noun and common noun. So a common noun is when given a particular name, it becomes a proper noun. How it is? So let's check this example. Jolly is my pet bird. Jolly is my pet bird. Now if I ask you jolly, that is a noun, and bird, that's also a noun. Now if I ask you what you mean by bird, you means some animals, some creatures of the same kinds. So that is a common noun. And a particular name is given to this common noun, this bird, and that is jolly. So jolly is a proper noun. Hence, when a particular name is attributed to a common noun, it becomes proper noun, and that's the relation between proper noun and common noun. That's all. So let's shift to the next type, that is the third types. So here we are with our discussion of the third type, that's the material nouns. So a material noun means a thing or matter or material with which something is made. So here when we are talking of that matter with which a thing is made, that can be obtained from two different sources, like materials from nature. We may get something that is natural, like gold, like silver. So these are the materials from nature, and we may get materials from animals as well, like milk, egg. So these are materials that we get from animals. So with these things we may make something. So when something is made of some material, that material is called material nouns, and that's all. So let's to the next types of nouns. So here we are with the fourth types of nouns that we are going to discuss, and that is collective nouns. Collective nouns means it speaks of a collection. It speaks of a group of similar kinds of nouns. That is, have an example, a bunch of keys. So we have many keys together, a collection of keys. So this is called collective noun, and a bunch of keys, bunch, that's the collective noun. There's also a family, that's also a collective noun. So when we are speaking of collective nouns, we get different number of nouns, and we are not certain about the numbers. Don't focus on the numbers, but focus on its plurality. There are many of these things together. They are of similar kinds, like a flock of birds, and also a hive of bees, and also you may say an army, you may say a fleet of ships. So all these are collective nouns. So let's shift to the next type. Now we are going to discuss about probably the most important types of nouns, and that we must learn quite well, and it's of abstract nouns. So far you have learned of abstract nouns in very different ways. Obviously the words like feelings, emotions, and which you cannot describe, these words and expressions goes with abstract nouns. But my way of expressing abstract noun is very different, because I would speak of only three things. Abstract noun is a name. Is a name of what? Is a name of an action. That's the first thing. Next, a quality. That's the second thing. And the third, a state. So that's an abstract noun. An abstract noun is the name of an action, a quality, or a state. How? If we speak of action, suppose I have taken this word as an example, act. That's a verb. We have spoken of action, and it's a verb. So when I form a noun from this verb, it becomes abstract noun. So from act we can form action. And action is obviously a noun. It's an abstract noun formed from verb. So the first is when a noun is formed from a verb, it becomes abstract noun. Next, quality. So this is also from adjective. So when we form an adjective into a noun, it becomes abstract noun, like beautiful. When we say beauty, it becomes abstract noun. If we say honest, that's only an adjective. And when we say honesty, that is, we form a noun from an adjective and it's an abstract noun. So learn it technically. Don't go by all these things, feelings, etc., etc. These are of no use. You must learn abstract noun in a very practical way, in following that rules which would come to your help directly when you deal with these nouns. And the last of them is state. So it's formed from a noun. Noun means, suppose if I say child, that's a noun, and now I'm trying to express it into abstract sense, that is, I'm trying to make a noun of it. So what noun would get? Would get hood, that is childhood. And now this is an abstract noun formed from a noun. So if you take them in a nutshell, you'll get, when a noun is formed from a verb or an adjective or a noun, we get abstract nouns. And that's all about nouns and types of nouns. So our focus would be shifted to the next part of our procedure of learning. Every single day. So now we are discussing of gender. And as you know, gender is about the shapes of the nouns. So what are the different types of genders? Genders are of 4 different types. The first of them is masculine genders, that is related to male. Second, feminine, that is related to females. The third is common, that speaks of neither male or female, but together, both of them, like a child. So it speaks of neither masculine nor femininity. It's not of masculinity or femininity, but it's of both of them. So it's common gender. And the last is the neuter gender. Neuter gender is used for those things, obviously lifeless things, like this one, a marker. It doesn't have a life. So it doesn't have any particular gender, either male or female, and we consider this as neuter gender. So that's all of genders, and we must learn the genders well when we want to learn nouns. It's a very important part of nouns. So let's shift to the next part. With our next part in the process of learning nouns. So when you are learning nouns, you must learn numbers. Yes, numbers are of 2 kinds, singular number and plural number. So singular number means one and plural numbers means many. And as you know, we add s or es or sometimes some other things, or sometimes a very new word for our changing of singular into plural or plural into singular. So that's the process that we use. But we must learn numbers well when we want to learn nouns. Without learning the numbers properly, our learning of nouns cannot be completed. So that's all about numbers, and let's shift to the next part. In our detailed discussion of the nouns and the components of the nouns that we must learn in this process, we are in a very vital part. We are going to discuss about the countable and uncountable nouns. But why have I called them vital? It's because of your formation of sentence. When you form a sentence, you have to choose the proper form of the verb according to the number of the subjects. So numbers are important, and with them the countable and uncountable, they are equally important when you learn of the verbs. Verbs means subject verb agreement. So for your learning of subject verb agreement, your learning of countable and uncountable nouns is very much important. You must find out which noun is countable and which noun is uncountable when you do with, yes, subject verb agreement. And as you know, a countable noun means those nouns which we can count, like an apple. So you can count an apple. A pen, you can count a pen. If there is two pens, you can say two pens. So you can count them, 1, 2. So these are countables, and in the same way we have 5 children. So these nouns are countable nouns because we can count them. And when we cannot count those nouns, these are called uncountable nouns. Like ice, wood, water, you cannot count them. And there's the key. When countable, they will get singular and plural. So there the verb adjustment would be likewise. But for uncountable nouns, they are always singular. So this is what we must learn about nouns, and obviously later we'll learn detail about the countables and uncountables, because sometimes countables becomes uncountable and sometimes uncountable becomes countable. So how it is possible and what are the pros and cons regarding this, and we'll learn in detail about them in our next video. So let's learn what's there in our learning of nouns next. Now we are in a very important part regarding nouns. So far we were discussing about the nouns directly, but now we would discuss about the nouns when they are formed from some other parts of speech, like a verb. Nouns can be formed from verbs. So we are forming nouns from verbs. So what we do, we add ing with them. So verb is added with ing and the verb becomes nouns, and we call it gerunds. Yes, that is how we can form nouns from verbs. As an example, we may use the word read. It's a verb, and when we add it with ing, we get reading, and now we can use this word as a noun, like reading is. Relaxing. So when we say reading is relaxing, you can get that reading, it has become the subject of the sentence and it's a noun. And the same way relaxing, relax, that's the verb, and it has become a noun. It has been used as the complement of this sentence. So reading is relaxing. Here we have used a verb to form a noun and then use it as the subject of a sentence. It's very important, it's very vital, and you have to remember this, and you must learn in details gerunds. To do this in some later effort. So now let us shift to our next endeavor towards the learning of nouns. So here we are with another types of nouns. Here we discuss about the 3 different types of nouns, that is based on the form. So these are the forms of nouns. We discuss about nouns according to their form, and they are simple nouns, compound nouns, and derivative nouns. So what are simple nouns? Like arm, chair, ball. So we are using a single word simply as a noun, and we consider it as a simple noun. And then comes compound nouns. So what's the compound noun? Before learning anything, just focus on the example. The example says armchair. So there is arm and chair. So singularly, we consider them as simple noun. Arm is a simple noun, chair is a simple noun. But when they are conjugated together, they form a compound armchair and we call it a compound noun. That's it. And then comes derivative nouns. So here we get a derivation. It descends from some things like friend and it is added with shape. So what is shape? Chair and shape, these two aren't the same. Why? Because chair is a noun. So here we have combined a noun with another noun. So here it is a noun plus noun combination. That's why we considered it as a compound noun, noun plus noun. But what happened here? Here we have one noun and then shape. What is a shape? Yes, you are right. Here, shape is a suffix. So we have used a suffix to form a noun. That's why this is called derivative. So according to the formation of the nouns, we get three different types and you must remember them properly in your endeavor to learn everything about nouns. We are going to learn everything about nouns. We are going to learn to have a very detailed knowledge of nouns. So what is our effort? Our effort is to take them together, to make them in a group. So what are the things, what are the points which we must learn regarding the nouns, and in this endeavor would have to set to our next step. So let's see what's there in our next step.
Every single day, I'm gonna make.
So dear friends, be serious. Take your pen and notebook out, for I am going to discuss the most important factor for our learning of nouns. What is this? This is the roles nouns play. So where would you find a noun in a sentence, or where would you place a noun in a sentence? So it's regarding the uses of nouns. What would you do? Learning those things what we have already discussed. Why have you learnt them? You have learnt them to use them properly in English language. So here is the key. And remember these words. If you remember my words now, throughout your life, you'd find that many other chapters of English grammar, which normally you find tough, would get easier. So if you learn the roles that nouns play in a sentence properly, that means these 5 points, you are going to fetch your learning of phrases and clauses very much easy. When you read noun phrase or noun clause, you'd face these 5 rules, and these 5 rules would help you in your learning of noun clause and noun phrase. So let's see what are these 5 different roles that a noun can play in a sentence. The noun can play the role of a subject in a sentence. So it can be used as the subject of a verb, and then it can be used as the object of a verb. So these are the 2 factors. I will discuss with them another very important part of nouns, that is case. Yes, you must learn the case well, and obviously we are going to make another video on our learning of cases. You would follow it and obviously you would learn everything about this. So case is very important for us to learn, and these are the 2 factors of cases, subject and object, because there you get 3 different cases and we get them from these uses, used as the subject of a verb and used as the object of a verb. And then the 3rd rule, that is object of a preposition. So when a noun is used as the object of a preposition, what do we get? We get a noun in a sentence after a preposition where it is used not as the object of the verb but object of a preposition. So that's the difference in between these two rules. Okay, I think you have got it properly. So let's shift to the next, nouns in apposition. So it comes after a noun, to clarify it. And the last one, the role of a complement. So it comes after a verb as a complement. So verb like what? Do you know? Yes. In our discussion of verbs, we'd learn them in detail. What's a complement and what's an object. So learn them properly, have a detailed knowledge of them, and make sure that you learn everything. Whatever we have discussed in this video, you learn everything, every components of these learning of nouns. So from nouns, you have to learn everything that we have discussed here, and only then your learning of noun could be completed. You could learn noun in totality. You would get a detailed knowledge of noun, and our effort would be successful with this only. So let's get ready to learn the details of noun with some other videos. Until then, I'd ask you to like this video, have comment, and if you are a newcomer to my channel, obviously subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so that you get the notifications, fresh notifications whenever I put them in my channel.